The Grand Compact had ruled for millennia, a vast coalition of ancient species. Their authority stretched across the entire known universe. They dictated the laws of expansion, controlled the flow of technology, and decided which civilizations would rise and which would fade into obscurity. Humanity? They weren't even an afterthought. The Compact had assessed Earth when humans first broke the FTL barrier. Observers catalogued the species, took note of their limited technology, their fragile lifespans, and their reckless tendencies. The conclusion was unanimous. They will never amount to anything. And so, humanity was denied entry into the Grand Compact. No treaties, no trade routes, no alliances. They were given one warning: expand no further or risk annihilation. The Compact had seen species like them before, short-lived, reckless, ambitious. Every one of them had collapsed before reaching significance. Why should humans be any different? For 50 years, the Compact barely acknowledged humanity's existence. They assumed the species would stagnate, confined to its own tiny corner of space. They assumed wrong. A seat denied. The United Earth Directorate, UED, had requested admission into the Grand Compact 4 times. 4 times, they were rejected. The last rejection had come from the Varaxian High Chancellor, who had addressed the Compact from his throne on Zalzir Prime. "The humans are a primitive anomaly," the Chancellor declared, his voice reverberating through the Grand Chamber. "A species of violent instability, destined to consume itself long before it reaches true significance." The council members nodded in agreement, their holographic forms flickering in the vast chamber. The Zortil Collective, the Tavari Trade Alliance, the Sarkari Hegemony. Every faction echoed the sentiment. Humanity was not welcome. The Terran ambassador, a seasoned diplomat named Elena Vasquez, stood alone at the center of the chamber. She had listened silently as they debated her species' worth like a minor inconvenience. She had clenched her jaw, taken measured breaths, but when the Chancellor delivered the final rejection, she allowed herself a small smile. It was not the smile of defeat. It was the smile of a woman who knew something they did not. "Understood," she had said simply. "We will not ask again." And with that, she left. The Compact believed humanity would sulk back to its little blue planet and remain there. Instead, Vasquez's words would become prophecy. Humanity would never ask again. They would take their place instead. A spark in the void. What the Compact failed to understand was this: humanity thrived in adversity. Denied access to Compact technology, they innovated faster. Banned from interstellar trade routes, they built self-sufficient economies. Cut off from the galactic community, they forged something better. Humanity didn't just survive without the Compact, they grew stronger because of it. While Compact species relied on bureaucracy, humanity relied on efficiency. While the Compact moved at the pace of ancient civilizations, humanity moved with the speed of necessity. In just 3 decades, human engineers had developed reactor cores that surpassed anything the Compact had. Their warships, once considered laughable, were now faster, stronger, and more adaptable than anything in the known universe. By the time the Compact took notice, it was already too late. The first warning came when a fringe Compact race, the Torvani, attempted to annex a Terran colony in the Draconis Expanse. It was supposed to be a simple show of force. A fleet of 20 warships descended upon Artemis Station, broadcasting an ultimatum: surrender or be destroyed. They did not expect a response. They received one 37 seconds later, not in the form of diplomacy, not in the form of negotiations, but in the form of the HSS Vindicator. The Battle of Artemis Station. The Vindicator was an anomaly, a warship that should not have existed. Compact intelligence reports had listed human technology as generations behind, their weaponry outdated, their fleet primitive. But the Vindicator was something else entirely. It was not built for defense. It was built to end wars before they started. The moment the Torvani fleet entered firing range, the Vindicator unleashed hell. Instead of plasma-based weapons, standard in all compact military engagements, the Vindicator used kinetic impact rounds. Tungsten slugs, accelerated to relativistic speeds, turned entire warships into expanding clouds of debris. The battle lasted less than a minute. A human warship had just obliterated a compact fleet in less time than it took to issue a second warning. The few Torvani vessels that survived attempted to flee. They were given one chance to surrender. When they refused, the Vindicator did not hesitate. There were no survivors. The compact received the distress call 6 hours later. The footage was undeniable. The implications? Unthinkable. Humanity was not behind. Humanity was not inferior. Humanity had outgrown them all. The compact's fatal mistake panic spread through the compact like wildfire. The High Chancellor convened an emergency meeting, demanding answers. "How did this happen?" he roared, his claws clicking against his marble throne. "How did a species we deemed irrelevant produce a warship capable of this?" No one had an answer. The compact had assumed humans would develop like every other species. They had never considered the possibility that humans would evolve beyond them. The true nightmare came when they reviewed intelligence reports from the last decade. Humanity had not just built one warship. They had built an entire fleet. A fleet no one could stop. Humanity's next move. The United Earth Directorate made no formal declarations. There were no threats, no ultimatums, only silence. And then, the Black Armada appeared. Hundreds of human warships, moving like ghosts in the void, setting up strategic positions across key sectors of compact space. Not attacking, just waiting. The message was clear. We asked to join you. You refused. Now you will watch as we surpass you. The compact had ruled for millennia, but they had just witnessed the beginning of their own irrelevance. Because humanity wasn't here to conquer. They were here to lead. And the galaxy was not ready for what came next. What do you think? Did the compact make a mistake, underestimating humanity? Would the galaxy be better off with humans in charge? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more epic HFY sci-fi stories. The Grand Compact had made a mistake, a critical, irreversible mistake. They had assumed humanity would remain insignificant, a minor backwater species content to exist on the fringes of galactic civilization, never daring to challenge the natural order. They failed to understand what humanity was really capable of. Now, as human warships prowled the edges of compact space, as their technology surpassed expectations, as whispers of their unprecedented rise spread through the stars, the galaxy was beginning to understand the truth. They had never seen anything like humanity before, and it was far too late to stop them. A species defined by adversity, the compact had spent millennia perfecting their bureaucracies, their economies, their place in the universe. They moved at the pace of empires that believed themselves eternal, slow, cautious, deliberate. Humanity? Humanity moved with desperation. Where the compact took centuries to approve new technologies, humanity reinvented entire industries in decades. Where the compact debated for generations over military tactics, humanity learned, adapted, and executed in mere weeks. The compact had never fought against a species like this. They had never faced a species forged in fire. The Black Flag Initiative. When the compact refused humanity's entry, Earth's leadership had been left with a choice. They could accept their fate, remain isolated, hope the galaxy would one day reconsider, or they could build something greater. Thus, the Black Flag Initiative was born. It was humanity's ultimate contingency plan, an unprecedented acceleration of scientific research, warfare doctrine, and economic independence. Every technological breakthrough, every military advancement, every industrial secret was hoarded, refined, weaponized. For decades, The Compact had believed humanity to be struggling, fighting to keep pace with the greater galaxy. In reality, humanity had been racing ahead. By the time the Compact realized what was happening, human scientists had already perfected gravity-based weapons, developed quantum-locked shielding, and constructed fully autonomous warships. Humanity had not adapted to the Compact's ways. They had evolved beyond them. A war that never happened. The first test came in the Nix system, a contested border region between human space and Compact territory. The Zortil Collective, eager to assert dominance, deployed a fleet of 70 warships, demanding human colonies be abandoned immediately. It was supposed to be a show of force. Instead, it became a lesson in fear. The Zortil fleet never made it past the outer asteroid belt. At 0600 hours, the first Zortil warship detected a sensor anomaly. At 0602, all 70 ships lost control of their propulsion systems. At 0604, their weapon systems deactivated simultaneously. And at 0605, a single transmission was broadcast across every Zortil command channel. "Leave now. You have 1 minute." The Zortil commander scoffed. An empty threat, a bluff. At 0606, the first warship exploded. The Compact had always relied on conventional energy-based warfare. Plasma weaponry, shield generators, tactics that had not changed in 10,000 years. Humanity had moved beyond such things. They had developed electromagnetic disruptors, weapons that didn't destroy ships through brute force, but instead hijacked their systems. Entire fleets could be neutralized before a single shot was fired. By 0607, the entire Zortil fleet was adrift in space, defenseless. By 0610, they were retreating at full speed. Not a single human warship had fired a shot. And yet, the battle had already been decided before it began. The Compact's realization. The High Chancellor of the Compact, a being who had ruled unchallenged for centuries, watched the battle footage in silence. A war that should have taken days had ended in minutes. No casualties, no ground invasions, no extended campaigns, just precision. The Compact's military analysts were speechless. There was no countermeasure to what they had seen. "This is impossible," one of the council members muttered. "No species develops at this rate." But humanity had. Humanity was not just a rising power. They were already here, and the galaxy had only begun to understand what that truly meant. The first surrender. The true breaking point came when the Tovari Trade Alliance, one of the wealthiest factions in the Compact, made a stunning announcement. They were withdrawing from the Compact. Instead, they would be joining the Terran Economic Coalition, an alliance formed by Earth to establish a new trade network outside of Compact control. For the first time in recorded history, a Compact member had chosen humanity over their own government. The message was clear. The Compact was not the future. Humanity was. The awakening was complete. It was over, not through war, not through bloodshed, but through sheer, undeniable superiority. Humanity had not just caught up, they had outgrown the old order entirely. The Compact had spent thousands of years believing itself to be the pinnacle of civilization. But now, they were looking at something far beyond themselves. And for the first time, the galaxy truly understood. Humanity was no longer asking for a seat at the table. They were building their own. What do you think? Should humanity continue its rise, or will the Compact attempt one final act of defiance? Let us know in the comments. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more epic HFY sci-fi stories. The Grand Compact had spent thousands of years solidifying its rule. Its species had entrenched themselves in bureaucracy, believing they had achieved the pinnacle of civilization. They assumed all species followed the same path, slow, deliberate, and cautious. But humanity had never followed anyone's path but their own. And in the darkest corners of Terran space, away from prying eyes, they had been building something unstoppable. The Compact had rejected humanity's place at the table. Now they would watch in horror as humanity built its own empire, one far superior to theirs. It was called the Black Flag Initiative, and it would change the galaxy forever. the birth of a shadow empire. When the Compact shut humanity out, the leaders of Earth saw only one option: adapt or die. The United Earth Directorate, UED, knew that appealing to the Compact's sense of diplomacy was futile. So they made a decision. If humanity could not be accepted into the Galactic Order, then they would surpass it. The Black Flag Initiative was humanity's ultimate response to rejection. It was a multi-generational project designed to ensure one thing: humanity would never kneel again. The first directive was simple. Secrecy was absolute. The Compact watched Earth's colonies, its military, its trade routes. But they never saw the real progress. Because while they watched the front-facing side of humanity, the true advancements were happening in the shadows. In deep space, where Compact sensors could not reach, hidden behind the gas giants of dead star systems, humanity built the future in complete silence. No announcements, no grand displays, no negotiations, just unrelenting progress. The engineers of the impossible. The Compact believed humanity was generations behind in technology. They weren't. The Black Flag Initiative had funneled the best minds in human history into a single objective: accelerate human technological growth at any cost. They broke the boundaries of science that Compact species had stagnated in for thousands of years. In just 3 decades, they had developed quantum-locked shielding, rendering traditional plasma weapons useless, perfected cloaking technology, allowing warships to disappear from every known scanner, mastered gravitational weaponry, making planetary bombardments obsolete, created self-repairing AI-driven warships, meaning battles could be won without human casualties. The Compact had relied on predictability. They had never faced an enemy that evolved this fast. They were not prepared for what was coming. The silent rise of the Black Armada. The first sign of the Black Flag Initiative's success came when Compact patrol ships started disappearing. At first, it was just a few. A lone Sarkari destroyer, vanishing without a trace. A Varaxian scouting fleet, going dark mid-transmission. A supply convoy, never arriving at its destination. There were no wrecks, no distress beacons, no debris. It was as if these ships had simply ceased to exist. Panic spread through the Compact. They couldn't prove humanity was responsible, but deep down, they knew. Because every missing ship had one thing in common. They had all crossed into Terran space, and none of them had returned. The battle that never happened. The Compact was desperate to reassert control. They assembled a blockade fleet around Mars, a force of over 100 warships, demanding an end to human expansion. They expected negotiations. They expected pleas for peace. They expected humanity to beg for mercy. Instead, humanity responded with silence. Then, the blockade fleet lost all communications. One by one, Compact ships began reporting malfunctions. Navigation systems failed. Weapons deactivated. Engines shut down. The Compact commanders screamed orders, but their ships no longer listened to them. And then, across the entire fleet, a single message appeared on every console. You are trespassing in sovereign Terran space. Leave immediately. The Compact did not leave. They could not leave, because their ships were no longer under their control. Within minutes, the entire blockade fleet had been hijacked. Hundreds of warships, representing the might of the Grand Compact, were reprogrammed remotely by an unseen force. And then, they turned their weapons on each other. The fleet self-destructed, one ship at a time. Not a single Terran warship had fired a shot. The battle was over before it had even begun. And as the last burning wreck of a Compact battleship fell toward the surface of Mars, one fact became clear. Humanity had moved beyond conventional warfare. The Compact was still playing by old rules. Humanity had rewritten them entirely. The Compact's realization. The Compact finally understood the depth of their mistake. They had dismissed humanity as a minor inconvenience, but humanity was not just rising. They had already surpassed them. The Black Flag Initiative had ensured that humanity no longer needed to fight wars in the traditional sense. They could disable entire fleets before a battle even began. They could rewrite enemy systems in seconds. They could control the battlefield without ever being seen. For the first time in thousands of years, the Compact had to face a terrifying reality. They were no longer the dominant force in the galaxy. They had ruled for millennia. But now, they ruled nothing. The death of the old order. With a single battle, humanity had proven a simple, undeniable fact. The Compact was obsolete. They had spent thousands of years assuming they were the pinnacle of civilization. Now they watched in horror as a species they had dismissed as insignificant rewrote the fate of the galaxy. The Black Flag Initiative had not just leveled the playing field, it had ended the game entirely. What do you think? Did humanity go too far, or was this the Compact's own doing? Let us know in the comments. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more epic HFY sci-fi stories. The Grand Compact had ruled for 10,000 years. They had dictated the laws of expansion. They had chosen which species would rise and which would fall. They had never known defeat. But now, as the embers of their last warships smoldered and their once mighty fleets drifted aimlessly through the void, the truth was undeniable. Their empire was over. Humanity had not merely defeated the Compact, they had rendered them irrelevant. And the worst part? It had never even been a war, the Compact's final mistake. Panic had spread through the Compact's High Council like a virus. Their fleets had vanished from contested sectors. Their trade routes had collapsed overnight. Their allies, once loyal for centuries, had turned away in silence. Every attempt to retaliate had been met with the same chilling response. No human warships, no battles, no destruction, just absence. Entire planetary defense networks shut down without explanation. Military supply chains disrupted without a trace. Compact command stations, once bustling with activity, left adrift in dead space. Their systems wiped, their officers missing. It was as if the very infrastructure of the Compact was evaporating, because it was. The Black Flag Initiative had ensured that humanity never needed to fight the war directly. Instead, they unmade the Compact from the inside out. The Compact had believed itself invincible. Now, it was crumbling into nothing. The Varaxian betrayal. The Varaxians had been the first to reject humanity from the Compact. They were also the first to betray it. The Varaxian High Chancellor, once the proud voice of the Grand Compact, now stood before humanity's ambassadors, his once mighty posture hunched in quiet surrender. We were mistaken, he admitted, his voice barely above a whisper. The Compact is failing. Elena Vasquez, now Terran High Commander, studied the alien leader with cold detachment. 5 decades ago, she had stood in this very hall, pleading humanity's case for inclusion. Now she stood above them, and the Compact begged her for mercy. 50 years ago, Vasquez said, you called us insignificant. The Chancellor swallowed hard. We were misguided. Vasquez leaned forward, eyes like steel. No, she corrected. You were arrogant, and now you have no Compact left to lead. The Chancellor's claws twitched. What do you want? Vasquez let the silence stretch. Nothing, she finally said. Humanity has already won. The question is, what will we do with the pieces you left behind? The collapse of the old order. The Compact's downfall did not come with explosions. It came in silence. The Tovari Trade Alliance, the economic backbone of the Compact, defected to the Terran Economic Coalition. The Sarkari hegemony, the Compact's largest military force, declared their neutrality, unwilling to face humanity's unseen weapons. And the Zortil Collective, once arrogant conquerors, signed an unconditional surrender, without a single human warship ever entering their space. The galaxy watched in shock as the mighty Compact dissolved itself, its members abandoning the sinking ship to align themselves with a new order. A Terran order. The Grand Compact was not overthrown, it had ceased to exist because it no longer served a purpose. The galaxy had outgrown it, and humanity had led the way. The Compact's last council meeting on Zalcir Prime, the last surviving council members gathered in the once magnificent Senate Hall. The chamber, which had once echoed with the voices of rulers, now felt hollow. The last High Chancellor, a frail, defeated figure, stood before the remnants of his once great empire. "We are finished," he admitted, his voice trembling. "We held dominion for 10,000 years, and now we have been erased in 50. Silence. A cold, final silence. No protests, no debates, no arguments. The era of the Compact was over, and outside in the vast blackness of space, Terran warships patrolled where Compact fleets once stood. Not as conquerors, not as tyrants, but as the inevitable future. A galaxy forever changed. The universe had always believed itself stable, unchanging, locked in the same old cycles. But humanity had proven otherwise. Where once the galaxy had been stagnant, now it moved. Where once the Compact had dictated progress, now humanity drove it forward. The Compact had spent 10,000 years building an empire that would last forever. Humanity had remade the galaxy in a single generation. And as the final embers of the old order faded, one truth became clear. The Terran hegemony was not the next empire. It was the future itself. What do you think? Was humanity justified in letting the Compact fall? Or should they have stepped in sooner? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more epic HFY sci-fi stories. The Grand Compact was dead. Its laws, meaningless, its fleets, scattered and broken, its rule, a relic of the past. Yet as the old order crumbled, the galaxy did not find peace. Instead, it collapsed into chaos. With no central authority to maintain order, the former Compact worlds turned upon one another. Old rivalries ignited, trade networks disintegrated, entire planets plunged into anarchy. And in the midst of the fire, a new question arose. Who would lead the galaxy now? The answer had already been written in the stars: humanity. And for the first time in history, the galaxy would witness what humanity was truly capable of. This was not a war for conquest. This was a war for ascension. The War of Shadows and Fire. The Compact's collapse left behind a power vacuum, and power vacuums invite only one thing: conflict. The most powerful of the former Compact factions, the Varaxian Dominion, the Tavari Trade Lords, and the Sarkari hegemony, each sought to claim dominance, but humanity was already ahead of them. The war did not begin with battles. It began with silence. The fall of the Varaxian Dominion. The Varaxians were the first to move, launching a military campaign against human-aligned systems. They believed the war would be swift. They had no idea what they were walking into. On the surface, human-controlled space seemed undefended. No visible fleets, no fortified stations, and then the Varaxian First Fleet vanished. All 46 warships gone. No distress calls, no wreckage, just silence. The Second Fleet suffered the same fate, then the Third. Only one Varaxian battleship ever returned, its crew broken, their words filled with horror. We were never attacked. Our ships just stopped working. We were ghosts before we even realized we were dead. The war had not even started, and already the Varaxians surrendered unconditionally. They did not negotiate, they begged. And humanity? Humanity did not demand tribute, nor reparations, nor territory. Instead, they issued only one order: the war is over for you. Go home. The unraveling of the Tavari Trade Lords. The Tavari Trade Lords sought power not through military conquest, but through economic control. They believed that by cutting off humanity's access to raw materials, they could cripple the Terran economy. They never got the chance. Because within hours of their embargo, every single Tavari banking system collapsed. Their entire financial network, untouched for millennia, was overwritten in an instant. One by one, their corporate strongholds went dark, as every credit, every resource, every market was seized and redistributed. By the end of the week, humanity controlled the Tavari economy, without firing a single shot. And just like the Varaxians, the Tavari surrendered without conditions. The war was no longer a contest of strength. It was a demonstration of inevitability. The Sarkari's last stand. The Sarkari hegemony refused to go quietly. They were warriors. They had fought countless wars across the stars. And so they gathered what remained of the Compact's shattered fleets and launched an all-out invasion of Terran space. They expected resistance. They expected a prolonged battle. They did not expect humanity to allow them in. The Sarkari armada passed into Terran space unopposed, advancing all the way to Juno 7, a Terran stronghold world. Then, without warning, their entire fleet shut down. Not destroyed, not attacked, just disabled. For 6 agonizing hours, the Sarkari's greatest warriors floated helplessly in the void, watching as human warships surrounded them, their weapons inactive, their crews untouched. Then they received a transmission. "You are guests in our house. Leave." No mockery, no threats, just a simple, undeniable truth. They did not belong in Terran space, and they never would. The Sarkari War Council surrendered that same day. They were warriors, but even warriors knew when they had lost. The war that never was. The Ascension War should have been the bloodiest conflict in galactic history. It lasted 42 days. Not a single human life was lost. Not a single human world was touched. Because humanity had moved beyond war. They no longer fought for domination. They fought for ascension. The former powers of the Compact had spent millennia believing strength meant conquering others. Humanity had proven otherwise. True strength was not about control, it was about progress. And the galaxy had just witnessed the next step of its evolution. The end of the war, the dawn of a new era. The last remnants of the Compact gathered on Zalcir Prime, the once great capital of the Old Order. The last remnants of the Compact gathered on Zalcir Prime, the once great capital of the Old Order. Before them stood Elena Vasquez, Supreme Commander of the Terran hegemony. She did not look upon them with anger. She did not look upon them with vengeance. She simply asked, "What will you do now?" The Varaxians, the Tavari, the Sarkari, all the former rulers of the galaxy sat in silence, because they already knew the answer. They would follow humanity's lead, because there was nowhere else to go. The Compact had defined the past, but humanity would shape the future. And with that, the Ascension War ended, not in destruction, but in transformation. The galaxy had been reborn, and humanity stood at its center. What do you think? Was humanity justified in taking control of the galaxy? Should they have ruled, or should they have let the former powers fade naturally? Let us know in the comments. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more epic HFY sci-fi stories. The galaxy had changed. The Compact was gone. Its old rulers now mere shadows of their former power. In its place, a new order had risen. One forged not through war or conquest, but through sheer inevitability. At its center stood humanity. No longer the outsiders, no longer the underdogs. Now, they were the undisputed architects of the future. The galaxy had feared that when humanity took control, they would become tyrants, overlords, conquerors. But the reality was far more complex. Because humanity did not rule with an iron fist. They ruled with purpose. And the universe had never seen anything like them before. A different kind of empire. The Terran hegemony did not govern as the Compact had. There were no bureaucratic hierarchies, no layers of political stagnation, no centuries-long debates about progress. Instead, there was efficiency. A universal charter was established, granting every species within Terran space autonomy over their worlds, but aligning them under a single galactic framework, one designed to advance, not control. The Varaxians, once rulers of the Compact, were now administrators, using their centuries of political knowledge to help streamline governance rather than hoard power. The Tavari trade lords, former economic manipulators, were now part of a regulated financial system, ensuring that trade flourished under fair practices rather than monopolistic greed. The Sarkari, once the Compact's greatest warriors, had become the shield of the hegemony, integrated into a defensive force that ensured peace, not war. Humanity had not crushed its former enemies. It had made them allies. But even so, there were some who resisted the new order, and for them, humanity had no patience. The last remnants of defiance. Not all species accepted the rise of the hegemony. There were those who still clung to the past. Compact loyalists, rogue warlords, splinter factions who believed they could restore the old order. They hid in the dark corners of space, plotting resistance, hoping to strike back. The Terran hegemony let them believe they were unseen. And then, one by one, they disappeared. Their fleets deactivated, their warlords erased, their secret bases turned into silent, lifeless husks. Humanity had long since evolved past the need for conventional warfare. They did not fight their enemies. They simply made them irrelevant. And within a few short years, the last whispers of rebellion faded into nothingness. Because the truth was undeniable. The hegemony was not a dictatorship. It was the only viable path forward. And even those who had once resisted it came to understand. Humanity was not here to rule. They were here to lead. The first Galactic Summit. For the first time in history, the leaders of every major species, former Compact members and newly discovered civilizations alike, gathered in a single hall. They stood before Elena Vasquez, now Supreme Chancellor of the Terran hegemony. She looked upon them not as a conqueror, but as a guide. The Compact ruled with stagnation, Vasquez said. We will rule with progress. No one spoke, no one protested, because they all knew. The galaxy had already changed, and humanity was its beating heart. The question was no longer if humanity would lead. The question was what came next. The birth of a new golden age. Under the hegemony's guidance, technology flourished. Medical advancements eradicated centuries-old diseases. New propulsion systems turned months-long voyages into days. Entire dead worlds were terraformed into lush, thriving colonies. The Compact had spent thousands of years believing the universe was set in its ways, but humanity had proven otherwise. They had not conquered the stars. They had unlocked them, and the galaxy would never be the same again. What do you think? Was humanity's rule inevitable, or should the galaxy have fought harder to resist? Let us know in the comments. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more epic HFY sci-fi stories. The universe had changed. For millennia, the Grand Compact had ruled. Now it was a footnote in history. In its place, humanity had risen not as conquerors, but as the architects of a new era. Across the stars, the Terran hegemony had brought prosperity, stability, and progress. Yet, as humanity looked upon the empire it had built, one question remained. Had they done the right thing? A scholar's lament. From a lonely outpost on the edge of the Andromeda expanse, a Varaxian historian, once a proud citizen of the Grand Compact, wrote his final entry. We thought ourselves gods. We thought humanity was nothing, but we were wrong. We were so very wrong. They did not conquer. They did not destroy. They simply outgrew us. And now we are relics of a past that no longer matters. The historian closed his journal, gazing out at the sky where human ships drifted like silent sentinels, maintaining peace across the stars. The Compact had ruled for thousands of years. Humanity had changed the galaxy in one generation. Perhaps this is how it was always meant to be. Elena Vasquez, a leader's burden. Elena Vasquez, Supreme Chancellor of the Terran hegemony, stood alone in the grand spire of Terra, looking down at the sprawling lights of New Geneva, the political heart of humanity's empire. She should have felt pride. Instead, she felt the weight of history pressing upon her shoulders. They had not set out to rule the galaxy, but the galaxy had needed them. They had not wanted war, but they had won without firing a single shot. And now, the fate of countless worlds rested in humanity's hands. "Did we do the right thing?" she whispered to the empty room. There was no answer, because history had already been written. The galaxy's new order. The former compact species had long feared human rule, but as time passed, they began to understand. Humanity did not rule with an iron fist. They ruled with efficiency and purpose. There was no oppression, no extermination, no subjugation. Instead, the galaxy flourished under Terran leadership. Galactic trade routes expanded, connecting distant civilizations like never before. Medical advancements eradicated ancient diseases, increasing lifespans across hundreds of species. Terraforming efforts revived dead worlds, turning wastelands into thriving colonies. War had become obsolete, as even the most hostile species realized that resisting the hegemony was futile. For the first time in thousands of years, the galaxy was not a place of division, conflict, and stagnation. It was a place of unity, growth, and limitless potential, because that was humanity's true gift. Not war, not conquest, but progress. The last question. As Vasquez turned away from the window, she entered the central archives, where the greatest minds of the hegemony gathered. A holographic map of the entire known universe floated before them. Humanity had won. They had built something greater than any empire before them. And yet, the question remained, where do we go from here? The stars stretched endlessly before them, uncharted and unknown. The hegemony had mastered the galaxy, but there was still so much beyond it, so much left to discover. Humanity had not reached its final chapter. They had only just begun, and as their ships prepared for the next great journey, one thing was certain. The Terran Age had begun, and nothing in the universe would ever be the same again. What do you think? Did humanity do the right thing? Or should they have let the galaxy find its own path? Let us know in the comments. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more epic HFY sci-fi stories.